Yeah.
Perfect. Helle, thank you. First of all, thank you for attendance. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to introduce to you and to the band. We understand that you represent you are the voice of the band.
Yeah, I am. In all means, yes.
Perfect. First of all, congratulations for the new album that we hope, if it is everything correctly, we will start at the end of this month of
Yeah,
April.
yeah, exactly. April 28th, already out. Yeah.
How do you feel? Are you nervous for this new album?
Yeah, I'm really excited for people to hear it because we composed it in 2021. So it's like a good wine. It already had some brewing time. And that's why I'm very excited for people to hear it and hear all the album because there were some singles out there, but the album is very diverse. So that's why I want people to hear all the songs.
Yes, I would. When we was listen to the album, we received the note for Napalm Records, and we see that it was a different album that we was expecting too. It's a concept album. You, because it's using about information about the Ukrainian photographer and documentarian Sofia Jablonska. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
How comes this idea to make an album with all what Sofia represents?
Yeah, so we were just sitting when the pandemic was, everybody was sitting at home and we were so just longing for traveling. And we also had some folk elements from different countries in the demos. And that's why I thought it would be cool to make an album related to traveling. So at first, I wanted to have each song dedicated to a different traveler, from different times. But when I found out about Sophia, I just was so inspired by her personality and all her travels and adventures. I started reading her books, looking at her photos, so I was very obsessed with her. And that's why I just thought she's a perfect subject for this album. And because like her life was so intense and there are so many stories out there, and she was very progressive for a woman of her time because she lived literally 100 years ago. um yeah, so she was like a pure inspiration, and it was also very cool that we can tell the world about a famous Ukrainian just through our album, through our music.
How when you start to record this album or to start to think in this new album, how do you transfer that ideas that you have to the music? How do you all Sophia's story? How do you translate? Because you tell me that every song is as a travel of different parts of the world. How you pass that information to music?
So I was just reading a lot of her, like all the books that I could find that she just wrote. And I had a notebook, and if I liked some kind of a story or even a phrase, I just wrote it down. And then I just tried listening to the demos that our keyboardist writes. And I just thought, okay, this sounds like Morocco, for example, or the Sahara Desert, or this sounds like this. And also I also told all the stories to him, so some of the songs they were written in reverse. So I told, for example, him about her trip to China and how she smoked opium with an old Chinese guy, and this is how the song Opiumist came out. So we really took our time. I think that I took like even half a year to study more about her life, write the lyrics, and yeah, when we entered the studio, we had all the songs already complete. This is how it worked out.
That's when you enter to the studio, you have all the work, and you just only start to make the lyrics part, then the music part, and then was the full this finish.
Yeah, so basically when we enter the studio, we already have all the demos like that they're full. We never change anything very drastically in the studio. We try to be as prepared as possible, and this is also how it's the best to work with our sound producer because he brings the best out of us. but with him it works the best if you are fully prepared, to enter and just make the best recording of what you already have.
I hear the album since the last week that I received. It's an interesting album. You have different styles in different songs. That sounds amazing. It sounds different. That makes that the album be quickly to hear, and you can hear different styles. Uh, if, for the people who doesn't hear until the album, how can you describe the styles that they can be found in our new album, Dreams of Lands Unseen?
I think that the basics of this album is still like some kind of a melodic death metal, because this is like the closest that we can come to, because you have the aggressive parts with like chunky guitars, blast beats, growls. You have the melodic parts with symphonic elements, orchestral elements, like folk melodies. Because it's an album about traveling, you can literally hear traditional, for example, Arabic tunes, some traditional Ukrainian music, because Sofia Jablonska was from Ukraine, and we wanted to reflect this on the album as well. There are two songs in Ukrainian language, also to make, a tribute to her roots and to our roots. It has a lot of keyboards on it as well, because our composer is a keyboardist and he likes all of these things, and I think it works really well, to define our sound. So on this album we even have a 7 minute long song with a stoner metal with blast beats, part. At the same time there is like a more traditional metal ballad. There is like a symphonic song with Middle Eastern tunes. So it's very diverse. And I always say that part of what we do, it also creates a soundtrack to the story that we are telling. So this is like the closest that I can say.
Totally agree, Helle, with what you are telling. It's what I tell you. When I hear the album the first time, I see there are a lot of types of music. I don't know exactly if it is missing some style that I don't know, but it was everything. That's metal, symphonic metal. It was all, and that makes that the album be quickly and easy to hear. For me, for example, it was an album very easy to hear, and I think that was amazing. The first time that I hear, I say, I need to hear a couple of times more, because I lost some things the first time that you hear, but you don't pay the correct attention. When you hear, maybe you are listening and repente you hear a part of symphonic or something like that. I say, "Oh, what the hell was that? Let me hear again."
Well, I think that it's a good thing, because we don't want to listen to music that is boring, But I can also understand, because I sometimes like to listen to instrumental black metal that is like pretty much the same, but it just creates the atmosphere and it works. But with us, we're telling different stories, and it's like also like reading a book, You want to be hooked, then you want to see how the story develops, and you need to have some kind of a conclusion, so I think that it's a part of what we do.
Yes, I think that is a very great album. And here in Travel Metal, we are thinking and put in our album of the month of April.
Thank
We
you so much, that would be awesome. Thank you.
like it a lot, and probably at the end of April or the next week or the other, we are going to be announced that your new album is our new favorite album of this month.
That's so great to hear. Thank you.
You're welcome. Helle, when we start the conversation, you told me when you was with the pandemic and everything that you have time to study for the album, speaking about Sophia and everything, that you read the books and you take a lot of information to prepare. In the a part of that, you have any challenge that the band face using different genres of music?
No, I don't know. It's just I think that part of what we do as well is we listen to very different music genres. So it's not only metal, it's also pop music, it's electronic music, classical music, just indie rock, whatever. So I mean, whatever that we like, we listen to it, and it doesn't need to be metal only. And I also think that this is one of the success formulas for us when it comes to composing, because we're not limiting ourselves to metal. And that is why it's easy for us. So if we feel that in this particular part we want to add some, electronic drums, we will do it just because why not?
But that is good because most of the people, I know a lot of people that they only hear heavy metal and they stay in the genre of heavy metal, maybe power metal, death metal, a lot of genres. But maybe if they hear a song of pop, for example, they say, "Oh no, I don't like it." It's like why they make a pop version of this? Or why they have to transfer of heavy metal to a pop album? Why? It's music. It's
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't know, because to me, I listen to different music depending on my mood, for example, or like I said, I work with lyrics and texts and posts a lot with words, and that's why sometimes I just need instrumental music in my background, because if I hear some lyrics, I get distracted, and yeah, sometimes, for example, I also like bands like Fortishead or Massive Attack. And for example, for me, they work perfectly on a vinyl record player. It's like a perfect music for vinyl. So I don't want to limit myself by listening to metal only, although I play metal.
but
Yeah.
but this life after metal.
Yes, exactly.
Because I hear a lot of music. I hear heavy metal, thrash metal, death metal, but I hear some songs that they are commercial songs, and I say, oh, I like it. It's nice. This song.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah, why not? I mean, they also need to exist. You cannot have underground stuff only. It won't be underground unless we have some commercial things as well. I mean,
Exactly, exactly. I have to ask you, Helle, about the production and the recording of the process of the album, because if first of all we know the whole world know that the situation in Ukraine right now is not the best one. So I don't know if this situation affects or not to you, to the band, to compose, to write, to produce.
yeah, it absolutely affects us. I mean, before the war started, we already had all the songs. I mean, we composed all of them. We recorded half of the album before February 24th. So, for example, the bass parts were recorded on February 23rd, just
Oh,
just before, then for the first 2 months, we did nothing in terms of album recording because it was like 100% survival mode for us. It was impossible to think about anything else, when, I don't know, the bombing is happening around and you don't, it's the first time. That's why you don't know what to do, actually. Like, we've never been at a war before. I mean, at a full scale war. And thereafter, we just, when the Kiev region was deoccupied, we just thought that we could continue with the album recording because we really wanted it to be out there. And we still hoped that this war won't be lasting so long. So that's why we just continued, although it was very hard. We were traveling like every time 3 hours through entire city to the studio, because there were a lot of checkpoints and like military people were, you had to show your passport because it's a war. And there was also very strict curfew. You had to get back home by 8 p.m. because again, it's a war. And there were like missiles and whatever, but we managed to do it in the end. Then we still had to postpone the album because we couldn't film any videos and take band pictures because the studios were not working properly. You couldn't really rent out anything. And a lot of our fellow friends who were working with us before, some of them went to fight on the front line. Some of them were just leaving to another part of Ukraine with their children, for example. So in the end, we just, again, we took our time. And when it got back to normal, just a little bit, we filmed 3 videos in 2 months in the middle of the biggest blackouts in Ukraine. Like, you have no electricity, but you have to film a video. How do you do it? you know? but we did it, and like, to me, these are the best videos that we've had so far, and we filmed them all in Ukraine with the Ukrainian production teams, and it worked.
You are happy with the videos?
Yes, I am. I think that 2 videos are already out there for Dunes and Nomad's Luck. And one more is going to be out just before the album drops. I really like how they look.
It's important. Sorry, it is
Yeah,
my
it's
fear.
especially nowadays, and for our genre, it's nearly impossible to release an album and not have the visual part like the videos.
Okay, that's well. The important thing is that you do the videos, that you can present the videos to us that we are expecting. And I have to ask for the experience working with Max Martin and Dimitri Green in the production of the album too.
Yeah, so to be honest, like, Max Morton is our sound producer for all releases of Ignea, and we have each record that we have produced with him,
Yes.
even like our first EP in 2013. So it's like he's always been our sound producer, and we are very glad to be working with him because he's a great talent and he's also developing as a sound producer. And Dmitry Kim is he basically his assistant who helps with recording drums because he's also a drummer. So it makes like a perfect sense, you know. And that's why usually, like I said, like, we prepare everything before we enter the studio, and he just creates the best sound for what we have. And because he's also a multi-instrumentalist and a vocalist, he gives a lot of tips to us when we are in the studio. So, for example, if I do a vocal take,
Yes.
he just knows that maybe I can be capable of doing it better. So, because we've worked for 10 years so far, you know, so that was, he said, it was good, but do it again, you know. Yes. And also, he helps me sometimes with creating some really interesting backing vocals, and we do it together, like when we are with him on the studio.
Speaking about the vocals, how do you feel in this album with your vocals? It was easy for you changing of the ring of your voice?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's pretty much the same compared to the previous records, but with growls, I think that I did them better because I worked more on them. Because, to be honest, with extreme vocals, it's like going to the gym. You have to do it constantly. You have to stay fit a little bit because it takes a lot of, pressure and air and whatever. And also, we recorded growls after the war started, and I was very furious about it. And I think, like, I put all my fury, into those extreme vocals. And I think that we already had this feedback that people can hear it, you know.
But you put all your voice, all your anger, everything, your hate, everything in the songs. Not always. You are not always angry and hate everyone.
No, no. I mean, you can still hear like clean melodic parts on the album because, yeah, you can. If we could go with all the growls, that would have been another band.
That's the important, that you feel comfortable when you record. No, that's the
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it was still a pressure because the war was going on and it's still going on. So, of course, it affects you when you're nervous or you're afraid or, again, when you're furious or whatever, but we did it.
Well, the important thing is that independence of all the impediments and of all what is this happening, you can continue going on and you can present the new album and you continue your life as you can, no? We understand.
It is very important, but it's also important to understand that it's all because of the Ukrainian armed forces, because they made it possible for us, because they deoccupied our region, for example, and they're still fighting on the front line, and sacrificing their lives. And we have this thought in mind every day that when we go to drink a coffee in Kiev, it's because they are fighting out there.
Right. I have to ask you about the name of the album, Dreams of Lands Unseen. How these names comes and how can we relate the name of the album with the artwork that I love it.
Yeah, so at first we wanted to call this album Teura, which is like the intro for the album, because Teura is translated as a red bird, and this is how Sofia was called by the natives of Bora Bora Island when she was there. But then we decided that, if people haven't heard the album and they don't know the concept, it's very hard for them to associate anything with Teura. And Dreams of Land Unseen is one of the phrases in the song Incurable Disease in the chorus. And also, like when you hear Dreams of Lands Unseen, you already think about traveling. And that's why we thought it would be like the perfect title. And also, we really haven't seen most of the lands where Sophia has been to. So it also makes the sense. And with the album cover, it's also an interesting story because we had something in mind how we want it to be, but we are not painters. We cannot draw an album cover. We're not a designer. And we really played with this AI Mid-Journey program just to find what we want. We prototyped this album cover, and then we gave it to a real artist who repainted it in her style. And also we picked up a lighthouse. You can see a lighthouse on the album artwork, and it is a real lighthouse located in Ukraine. So it's also like, a tribute to it.
There are a lot of things, no, in the album.
Yes.
In the cover, and it was easy. You for the beginning, you know exactly what you want to represent in the cover.
We wanted it to be a desert for sure, because this is one, like Sophia went to Sahara Desert. We wanted to have some kind of a ship on it and maybe the remains of the ship, because we're telling the stories about the past that don't exist, anymore. And the lighthouse is, for me, is personally like a sign of coming back home, because you can see a lighthouse and just go there. So it's a part of the maybe homesickness that Sophia sometimes had on her travels, and that we also can feel when you go somewhere. It's very cool to discover new places, but sometimes you just want to be back home. So that's like part of it.
We have to come to our house, our home, and with our friends, with our family, we need to be like comfortable.
Yeah. But at the same time, when you come back, you already want to go again. So.
To us happens every time. Us, we and my wife, we travel a lot and always say, "Oh, I would like to live here. Oh, I like to live here."
Yes.
But when we come back to home, we have work here, our family, our friends. We have everyone is here. I have to ask you about the collaborations in the album, because I think that you have two. That is Alexei, I don't know the surname, sorry, I'm very bad. In Queen Diaz, is correct?
I don't know. Queen Dice is from the previous album.
Oh, sorry, I make a mistake, sorry. But in this album, you don't have any collaboration, so.
On this album, we have a collaboration on the song Opium East with Tuomas Saukanen of Wolfheart.
Sorry, yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. And with this song, this song is about Sophia's travel to China, where she really smoked opium with an old Chinese guy. And they always had they smoked and they had conversations about the differences in Chinese and Ukrainian culture. And there are a lot of differences. And with this song, we just wanted to create this feeling of a conversation, between a woman and a man. And that's why we wanted to have some deep male growls in this song. And through Napalm Records, through our label, we just contacted Thomas, and he was very kind to agree to record it. And we actually never met him because we stayed in Ukraine and he recorded it at his place. But I'm really glad how the song turned out, because his vocals are perfect for what we wanted.
Yes, I hear, and I was not very clear about that song. I had to hear, as I told you before, I had to hear, and then reading the press note that Napalm Records sent to us, I say, okay, I was right, but I was not sure.
Yeah.
Now that the situation is more or less that you are now that you have now the album is out at the end of April, the album is going to get out. You have any plans of to get outside to make a little tour or something?
We would love to, but it's not possible at this point because the war is still going on and men can be mobilized at any time. So our band members cannot leave, like they're men, they cannot leave the country. In last year, we could do it because we had some approvals from the Ministry of Culture as cultural ambassadors and we played some festivals. But now the situation has changed and the law has changed, so it's mostly impossible. So you could already see some bands, some Ukrainian bands canceling their tours, which is very sad, and we can only hope that until summer it changes because we have some festivals in summer like Leyendas of Rock, Summer Breeze. So we just have to, we hope that it will change because we want to play this album live so badly. And I mean, it's an album about traveling. We have to travel, you know?
Travel, of course.
Yes.
Of course, you have unless come here, come to Spain, come to Alicante, that nation that's the rock. For less, you will have the sun that's going to be hot. You have the swimming pool there in the festival too. You have beers. You have Spanish people. They are more or less funny people. You have a lot of.
Oh, we'd love to come back. We played in Barcelona and in Madrid. And yeah, so I mean, we would love to come back.
We hope to see you soon. We hope we cross the fingers. And I'm going to ask you the two last questions that are. It's important to know that this question I ask to everyone. Okay, so it's a question that I repeat to everyone. And is you as professional as a user of music, what band do you surprise you? And what band surprised you as bad? It means what band surprised you as good? It means that you discover and say, "Wow, I didn't know this band and I like it a lot." And what band that you like and say, "Oh, what the hell they doing?"
Oh, it's a tough question, I would say. Oh, I really like the band Vola from Denmark. They play progressive metal, so to say, and I also saw them live several times. I just like what they are doing, and from their image, I wasn't expecting it, you know? So I really highly recommend checking them out. As for the band, what the hell they are doing? Oh, it's I don't know. You know, it's just usually I just skip these bands if I don't like what they're doing. And sometimes you are just on the edge because, for example, there is this band Igor from France. They
Yes,
play like really avant-garde metal. So
yes,
sometimes it's like, what the hell are you doing? But I like it, you know?
yes, yes. Yes, yes, we know it. Igor in Resurrection Fest here in Spain too, and it was some songs that were amazing, and another song they said, "What the hell he's doing?"
But this is a part of what they do. I mean, if they have all the songs that are easy to hear or whatever, it would haven't been Igor, you know? This is
But
how
it's
it
part of the music, as we speak before. It's part of the music. It's part of the
is.
art.
Yeah, you have to be discomfortable listening to some parts of the music they do.
Perfect. Helle, I don't know if you have more. I don't waste more your time. Very, very thank you for your sincerely with us. Thank you for attendance, and we leave the last words to you to who you want. You're free.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation. And please check out the album when it comes out. It's already available for pre order on all platforms and even on Amazon, you know, everywhere. And I really hope that we get back to touring and we see you at Leyendas del Rock, among other festivals, because it would be awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Helle.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.